Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Reese. I talk about books. I'm so glad that you are here. Today, I am judging books by their covers. More specifically, I went to a local bookshop and I saw some books that caught my eye. I thought it would be fun to guess what those books are about based solely off of the cover and the title, and then to reveal if I was right or not in this video. I'm gonna share thoughts on 5 books that I saw, and then in real time, read the descriptions afterwards. I have no idea what they are about. The anticipation, honestly, is kind of killing me. As both a reader and a graphic designer, I think about book covers probably more than the average person. What they're doing, what they can do, what they're communicating. And so this was fun, this merging of both of my worlds. Couple notes before we jump in. All of these books were in the literary fiction section of the bookshop. I don't know anything about these books. I had never heard of them. I definitely know none of these books are on my TBR, or I hadn't heard of these. And like 99% positive none of these authors' other books have been on my TBR. So that's my baseline. I'm pretty positive I don't know anything about these authors or the types of genres that they write in, because that could also be a bit of an influence. Yeah, are we ready? I think I'm ready. I'm excited. Let's go. First book, Cursed Bread by Sophie Mackintosh. What initially caught my eye here was the oil painting background, and then the combination of that plus this like highlighter green neon text. Something about the juxtaposition of the two of those created like an interesting tension, and it stood out to me. I definitely would have picked up this book and read the back, but all I did was get closer to it. I said, no, don't pick up and read the back. Yeah, and upon that closer look, you really see this oil painting texture. It's like kind of cracked like an old painting, which is nice. And then this other thing you see is like this oval here that's a refraction almost. It's like a breaking in what we are seeing, which is, it adds, not only does it add a nice dimension, but it's like an interesting detail that it sent up a little flag in my brain like, oh, okay, like something off is happening here. I'm also going to talk about accolades, so, you know, whether there's any like prize nominations or awards on here or blurbs from other authors, because, you know, that's not something I'm seeing at a first glance necessarily, but on a second glance, this closer look, it's definitely something that intrigues me about a book. And it would, I don't want to say, I wouldn't not pick up a book because it didn't have like a blurb from an author that I knew, or, you know, something on it. But if it does, it's definitely bonus points in the camp of, oh, what is this about? I'm gonna flip it over and read it. So, accolades. There is a blurb by Alexandra Kleeman. She is an author that I have not read, but she is on my TBR, so that was bonus point. And then also, the author of this book is a Booker Prize long-listed author for a different book. So that immediately I'm like, all right, I think the writing's gonna be good. I think the subject might be something that interests me because another author whose work I'm interested in has talked about this. Now we're gonna get into the part where I talk about what I think. I don't know anything about this author, and I don't know anything about the subject matter, but the subject of the painting, we have a still life of like wine, bread. It's like there's a knife, the bread is kind of broken apart. Yeah, the title is Cursed Bread, so because of the way the painting looks and the word cursed, I'm thinking maybe historical fiction. I don't know. I'm gonna be so wrong about all of these, aren't I? So that's a possibility. I also think because of that refraction, I want to say there's like a horror or dystopian bent in some way. Like things are not really what they seem in this story. That's my takeaway of that. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I think this has to be historical because of the title, or it's like about an art historian or something. But yeah, I'm gonna say this is about a woman who is subverting expectations in some ways. Yeah, I hesitate to be so specific, but maybe I think she poisons someone. Well, let's go with that. Now is the point in the video when I actually read the description. Let's do this. This is a long description, so I'm gonna kind of scan this. Okay. Oh my god, from the Man Booker Prize nominated author of The Water Cure comes an elegant and hypnotic new novel of obsession that centers on the real unsolved mystery of the 1951 mass poisoning of a French village. I just got chills. How did I know that? Wow, okay. We are 1 for 1. Still reeling in the aftermath of the deadliest war the world has ever seen. I didn't think this was gonna be about the 50s, but historical, we got it. The small town of Pont-Saint-Esprit, French, collectively lost its mind. Some historians believe the mysterious illness and violent hallucinations were caused by spoiled bread. Others claim it was the result of covert government testing on the local population. That story is actually starting to ring a bell to me, but I never would have guessed that specifically, you know, but I did guess it. Guys, this is wild. Okay, more. In that town lived a woman named Elodie. She was the baker's wife, a plain, unremarkable person who yearned to transcend her dull existence. So when a charismatic new couple arrived in town, the forceful ambassador and his sharp-toothed wife, Violet, Elodie was quickly drawn into their orbit. Thus began a dangerous game of cat and mouse. But who was the predator and on whom did they prey? Sophie Mackintosh spins a darkly gleaming tale of a town gripped by hysteria, envy like poison in the blood, and a desire that burns and consumes. This book's going on my TBR. This sounds so good. Right up my alley. I love it. Wow. Okay. We're 1 for 1. Can we keep the streak going? Okay, next book is My Year Abroad by Chang-rae Lee. What caught my eye about this was the geometric shapes and the color palette, and also how the title is like interacting with those shapes. It's really a part of the artwork. It's not just like layered on top or, you know, stuck in a negative space somewhere. It's really interacting with everything. I really enjoy the off-white background. Yeah, the gradients, something about this, it just feels really modern and fresh to me. I also really like this typeface, the R's and the B's. I mean, it's friendly, but it's also really cool. It's very distinct. That is just what caught my eye. Upon a closer look, there's like a texture here. Hopefully, I'll do like a zoom in. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. It's kind of like offset printing. Things aren't really lined up exactly. There's this overlap of colors. It feels like human in that way. It's really nice. The more I look at it, the more I would hang this up as a poster in my house. I think it's really cool. Accolades. This is a Pulitzer Prize finalist, so that counts for something, right? That's enough for me to pick this up. Okay, what do I think about this? I think this has to be set in modern day. Because of the color palettes, the fact that the title is My Year Abroad. I mean, I guess people like went abroad in olden times, but just something about the like year abroad feels very modern. So I just can't imagine this being set before 1980. Honestly, before the year 2000, but I could be surprised. Yeah, this is about a character that either goes to another country to study abroad, like in college or something, high school, or on a whim they go, you know, a life-changing trip, or they're forced to go abroad, perhaps by family or like some kind of nefarious situation, but things turn out okay. I'm also seeing like the shapes building on each other in this like Jenga sort of jumbled mess. It's kind of chaotic. So I feel like the arc of this story is that somebody is finding themselves over the course of this year. I just, that's the vibe I get. This year is changing their life in some way. I mean, it's obviously about 1 year. Yeah, it's not given much else to me other than that, but I would pick it up. And now, what is this book about? Description: an exuberant, provocative story about a young American life transformed by an unusual Asian adventure, and about the human capacities for pleasure, pain, and connection. Tiller is an average American college student with a good heart but minimal aspirations. Hong Lu is a larger-than-life, wildly creative Chinese-American entrepreneur who sees something intriguing in Tiller beyond his bored exterior and takes him under his wing. There's a boisterous trip across Asia, Tiller being catapulted from ordinary young man to talented protege, pulled into a series of ever more extreme and eye-opening experiences that transform his view of the world. Yeah, rich with commentary on Western attitudes, Eastern stereotypes, capitalism, global trade, mental health, parenthood, mentorship, and more, My Year Abroad is also an exploration of the surprising effects of cultural immersion on a young American in Asia, on a Chinese man in America, and on an unlikely couple hiding out in the suburbs. Okay. Tinged at once with humor and darkness, electric with its accumulating surprises and suspense, My Year Abroad is a novel that only Chang-rae Lee could have written, and one that will be read and discussed for years to come. That sounds great. I'm into that. I would read that. I mean, the title was kind of obvious, so. But props to the publisher and the creative team because that's a beautiful cover. Book number 3, Blue Ruin by Hari Kunzru. I think I said that right. What caught my eye about this book? The cover is basically split into two. And while I do like the bottom half, what initially caught my eye was the top half, the title and the author's name being so big, black and white, probably Helvetica, don't quote me on that. And then the reflection of the type was interesting. It's very bold. And so I saw that, and then I looked down and I saw this kind of like painterly face. And yeah, I thought it was really nice. It looked different from other book covers, and I wanted to know more. On a closer look, we're going to talk more about the bottom half, because that's what when I looked at the cover closer, that's what I was focused on. We're seeing someone's face either painted on. Actually, it kind of looks more like it was wiped. Something was wiped away and it's underneath this other kind of like cloud or sky painting. Yeah, it's definitely not painted on, but maybe I'm just getting really specific here. This person looks reflective, sad. I guess I'm saying sad because part of it kind of looks like there's a tear dripping down. I mean, also the title, Blue Ruin. I mean, that just sounds depressing. But I like depressing, so that's not a negative there. Yeah, I mean, I like this. It's like a painting. It's not the same as like the oil painting of Cursed Bread necessarily, although it does maybe look like oil. I don't know, I'm not a painter. But I do like the texture. Okay, accolades. There's nothing really on here other than 2 other books by this author. white tears and red pill, which I didn't really think anything of when I read that initially, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's interesting. I don't know if this is like a series, probably not, it probably would have said that, but maybe is it like, you know, some sort of connected world because blue ruin, white tears, red pill, it's all like a color and an object or a state of being or something. Yeah, and what do I think? What do I think here about this? So, hard to say when this is set, but I'm pretty sure that the main character is probably the person we see on the cover. They're definitely having some sort of struggle, maybe, either with not being seen or maybe being like actively erased. The clouds, you know, they're not necessarily storm clouds, although the bottom portion is kind of like darker clouds, but it definitely suggests things are like murky or nebulous. These aren't happy clouds, I'll say that much. Yeah, I mean, the person's face is being pretty obscured in some way, so that makes me think that they're not having a good time. So I think we meet this character in the middle of a mess. Something bad's going down, and maybe things get progressively worse, or maybe, I don't know, why is this coming to me now, but like a series of flashbacks where we understand why things have gotten so bad. You know, the situation is slowly revealed. I could be wrong, but that's just what I feel. So let's see. A profound and enthralling novel about beauty, power, and capital's influence on art and those who devote their lives to creating it. From that sentence alone, I'm interested in this book. And I should have known it would be about art based off of the fact that it was kind of like painted, you know, yeah, I should have known. Okay, once Jay was an artist. Shortly after graduating from his London art school, he was tipped for greatness, a promising career already taking shape before him. Now, undocumented in the United States, he lives out of his car and makes a living as an essential worker delivering groceries in a wealthy area of upstate New York. The pandemic is still at its height. The greater public panicked in quarantine, and though he has returned to work, Jay hasn't recovered from the effects of a recent COVID case. I'm scanning other things. Okay, Alice, a former lover from his art school days, their relationship, tumultuous and destructive, a reckoning decades in the making into motion. And now, okay, here we go. Gripping and brilliantly orchestrated, Blue Ruin moves back and forth through time to deliver an extraordinary portrait of an artist as he reunites with his past and confronts the world he once loved and left behind. So, I think I called that one. I didn't exactly guess it was based about an artist, but I did say flashbacks, right? How did I know? I don't know. I feel like I'm going really fast through these, but it might just be the adrenaline of me kind of guessing 3 for 3. I also had caffeine before this, so. Okay, book number 4. Two-Step Devil by Jamie Quatro. What caught my eye about this cover? To be honest, I was drawn to the simplicity of it. The color palette, the off-white, the black type, and then the pop of red. I am designing something in a similar color palette, so maybe subconsciously I was like drawn to this. Upon a closer look, I will say my heart did a little like flutter when I realized that this was a pencil line drawing of like a sheep. And then the devil horns, this red that we're seeing, they almost appear like markered on. Combined with the title, I'm sold. I'm like, is this what I want Lapvona to be? I don't know. I'm very into this. Accolades. This is blurbed by Lauren Groff, whom I really enjoy. A definite, I'm gonna pick this up, read the back, find out more situation. But before we find out more, what do I think this is about? This is kind of the same thing that happened with Cursed Bread. There's like a juxtaposition, the pencil drawing, and then the very obviously after the fact drawn on element, the horns. Yeah, it's intriguing. There's like a tension. To me, it also shows change or evolution. And I don't know if this is actually about sheep or a shepherd. You know, I don't know. I'm thinking like the witch, historical vibes, the setting is historical maybe. I mean, sheep or like lambs are often associated with purity, and, you know, the addition of devil horns suggests that we're gonna read about someone who turns bad, I don't know, or at least they are deceiving somebody with their intentions, is just a vibe that I get. You can't have devil in the title and not have this be about a bad person in some way. I mean, that's just, yeah, that would be wrong. So this could be fooling me with the drawing, that it's not historical, because like, yeah, universal symbols we're working with, but my final guess here is that this is about a criminal or some sort of nefarious person, probably a dude, like a man, who is not like what's dude ranch? I don't know, who is deceiving people. And they're either an anti-hero, which I feel like is not really popular right now, or we're seeing the story through a different character who's like, you know, audience surrogate, and they are conflicted about being associated with this bad person. And now, what is the actual story here? From a New York Times notable writer of great originality comes a bold novel about love, faith, and two societal outsiders whose lives converge in the contemporary American South. Could this be going where I thought it was going? It's 2014. Didn't guess that. In Lookout Mountain, Alabama, where the prophet, a 70-year-old man who paints his visions, lives off the grid in a cabin near the Georgia border. While scrounging for materials at the local dump, the prophet sees a car pull up to an abandoned gas station. In the back seat is a teenage girl with zip ties on her wrists. Oof, a girl he realizes he must rescue from her current life. Her name is Michael, and the prophet feels certain that she is his big fish, a messenger sent by God to take his apocalyptic warnings to the White House. What? What? Michael finds herself in the prophet's remote, art-filled cabin, and as their uncertain dynamic evolves into tender friendship, she is offered a surprising opportunity to escape her past and perhaps change her future. Okay? I still don't know what okay. Moving through the worlds of the prophet, the girl, and a beguiling devil figure who dances in the corner of their lives. Okay, Two-Step Devil is a propulsive philosophical examination of fate and faith that dares to ask what salvation, if any, can be found in our modern world. I do think I am the most off on this one, because the Two-Step Devil is like sort of a random figure haunting these two people. I do think the cover matches with this, I'll say that much. I do think it's interesting that there's like a 7-year-old man and a 16-year-old girl, and this guy is like a prophet who paints his visions. That's interesting. The age difference actually is kind of weird, but yeah, this is going on my TBR. I think it could be interesting. I definitely want to read the prose, though the blurb here says, from Lauren Groff, a writer of sinuous, muscular power and grace. So that to me means the writing is going to be pretty good. We are at book number 5, the last book, and that is We Are Only Ghosts by Jeffrey L. Richards. This was actually the last book that caught my eye. I think I went in kind of order that I saw them all in. This one feels a little different from the others. it's kind of the most, I don't want to say generic, that's not what I mean at all. It's the most straightforward. We have an image, we have type. Why did this catch my eye? And I think it's because the contrast of the dark photograph, which is like a nice photograph, and then the thin, simple, like white text. I think the photo is kind of like framed interestingly. It felt kind of like different from maybe the other covers I was drawn to, so this one I was like, oh, what about this? I guess if I'm also being honest, the title, like I'm a sucker for ghosts, so this was interesting. Literary ghosts. Literary fiction ghosts. A closer look on this one. Pretty sure this is, I guess, a man's hand? I don't know, but they're holding a platter. And on this arm, there's a series of numbers, which is interesting. That's telling me something, which I'll get to in a minute. I also really like the typeface here, like as a designer. I think it's really nice. The E, it's really nice. No accolades, nothing, like not even a blurb about like, there's nothing on here. So that's kind of interesting. I gotta say, this is definitely about like servants of some sort. Probably not people who are happily employed as servants either. This person is holding like a serving dish and they have a number tattooed on them. So that to me tells me like they are not in a situation that they want to be in. They're being forced, they're being like marked, tracked, so like, yeah. The title is also We Are Only Ghosts, so maybe they're unseen, very Downton Abbey. No, I don't think it's like that. This also looks like a modern shirt. So I think this is either set in the present or it's set in the slightly near future. Because it's maybe set in the future, according to my brain, and because of like the tattooed numbers, I'm guessing this is like dystopian, like a dystopian situation where someone is potentially enslaving people, maybe rich people who are forcing others to work for them. The title being We Are Only Ghosts sounds almost like ironic or subversive. What am I trying to say here? Like, we're just ghosts. We can't be dangerous or shake things up, but actually we're gonna wreak some havoc here. That's what this feels like. This group of people is not suspected to be as powerful as they are in the face of the circumstances they're in or something, and they actually are. That's all I'm getting. Let's read the description. New York City, 1968. The customers at Cafe Marie, okay, don't come just for the excellent coffee and pastries. They come for the sophisticated ambiance and the illusion of being somewhere other than a bustling, exhaustive city. Head waiter Charles Ward helps create that illusion through impeccable service, unobtrusive, nearly invisible, yet always watchful. It's a skill Charles honed as a young Jewish boy, okay, in war-torn Europe, when avoiding attention might mean the difference between life and death. But even then, one man saw him all too clearly. Ooh, a Nazi officer who was both his savior and tormentor. I mean, I guess I should have known with the tattoo, but I don't know, it felt not historical. Okay, so the main character, Charles, was deported to Auschwitz with his family at the age of 17, and he was singled out by Bertold Werden, who hid him in his home. Oh, their entanglement produced a tortured affection mixed with hatred that flares to life again decades later when Bertold walks into Cafe Marie. Oof, yikes. Drawn back into Bertold's orbit, no, Charles is forced to revisit the pain and the brief, undeniable pleasures of the life he once knew. And if he acts on his growing hunger for revenge, will he lose his only tether to the past, the only other witness to who he was and everything he endured, or find peace at last? Okay, so I was wrong about this. This is historical fiction. This is not somebody who is serving against their will, but who's definitely been in a situation where they were not where they want it to be for horrible reasons and horrible people. I would probably open it up and read the prose. And if the prose was good, then I would be like, yep, going on my TBR, let's do it. Let's see what else. I mean, a 3.92 on Goodreads, that's pretty good. Yeah, if you've read any of these, let me know. Or anything by these authors, let me know too. I'm also curious if any of these books, cover or description or anything, have piqued your interest. Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed this. Let me know if you enjoyed it and want to see more like this. I have a whole group of videos about cover design because I'm so interested in it. Maybe I'll make a playlist or I'll link somewhere or something. What were we? 4 for 5, I guess? No. 3 for 5? I hope you are enjoying whatever you are reading. I hope you're having a great day, evening, week, afternoon. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap this one up. I will see you in the next video. Thank you again for watching. See ya. Bye.